My friends, I come before you today to share a powerful message that has the potential to transform your lives in profound ways. It's a message that goes against the grain of what we've been taught, a message that challenges the very core of how we've been conditioned to think and feel. Today, I implore you to learn the art of acting as if you were emotionless. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but Jim, aren't emotions what make us human? Aren't they what give our lives color and vibrancy? And you'd be right to an extent. Emotions are indeed a fundamental part of the human experience, and they serve an important purpose. They help us navigate the complexities of life, guiding us towards what feels good and away from what feels bad. But here's the thing. My friends can also be our greatest downfall. They can cloud our judgment, distort our perception, and lead us down paths that are ultimately detrimental to our well-being. How many times have you made a decision based on pure emotion only to regret it later? How often have you allowed your feelings to dictate your actions rather than your rational mind? Let me share a story with you, one that illustrates the power of acting as if you were emotionless. Imagine a skilled surgeon standing over an operating table, scalpel in hand. The life of a patient lies in their capable hands. Now, let's say this surgeon is overcome with emotion, fear, anxiety, doubt, all perfectly natural feelings, but ones that could prove disastrous in such a high-stakes situation. Their hands might tremble, their focus might waver, and the consequences could be catastrophic. But what if the surgeon had the ability to act as if they were emotionless, to approach the procedure with a calm, steady hand, a clear mind, and an unwavering focus? The chances of success would increase exponentially, and the patient's life would be in far safer hands. You see, my friends, there are times in our lives when emotions can be a liability, times when we need to tap into a higher level of consciousness, a state of being where we are not governed by our feelings, but by our rational mind. Now, I'm not suggesting that we suppress our emotions entirely. That would be unhealthy and unnatural. What I'm proposing is that we learn to act as if we are emotionless in those moments, when emotions could cloud our judgment or impede our progress. Think about it this way. When you're driving a car, you wouldn't allow yourself to be consumed by road rage or anxiety, would you? No, you'd remain calm, focused, and in control, acting as if you were emotionless, because the consequences of losing that emotional control could be catastrophic. The same principle applies to so many areas of our lives. In business negotiations, for example, it's crucial to maintain a level head and not let emotions like greed or fear dictate our decisions. In personal relationships, acting as if we are emotionless can help us navigate conflict with clarity and wisdom, rather than being swept away by the tides of passion or anger. But how, you might ask, do we learn to act as if we are emotionless? It's not an easy task, my friends, but it is one that can be mastered with practice and discipline. First, we must cultivate self-awareness. We must become intimately familiar with our emotional patterns, our triggers, and our tendencies. Only then can we begin to recognize when our emotions are threatening to take over and take steps to regain control. Next, we must develop the ability to detach ourselves from our emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing them entirely, but rather observing them with a sense of curious detachment, as if they were clouds passing overhead. We must learn to witness our emotions without becoming consumed by them. And finally, we must practice. Just as an actor rehearses their lines until they become second nature, we must rehearse the art of acting as if we are emotionless until it becomes a natural part of our repertoire. Now, to be clear, acting as if you are emotionless is not about becoming a cold, unfeeling automaton. Quite the contrary. It's about achieving a higher level of emotional mastery, where you're in control of your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Imagine the power you would wield if you could approach every situation with a clear, focused mind, unencumbered by the weight of emotion. Imagine the doors that would open for you, the opportunities that would present themselves, the heights you could reach. Of course, there will be times when it's appropriate, even necessary, to embrace our emotions fully. When we're celebrating a joyous occasion, or mourning a loss, or expressing our deepest love and affection, we should allow ourselves to feel those emotions in their entirety. But in those moments when emotion threatens to derail us, when it could lead us down a path of poor decisions and negative consequences, that is when we must learn to act as if we are emotionless. My friends, this is not an easy path to walk. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and a commitment to personal growth. But the rewards are immeasurable. A life lived with clarity, focus, and emotional mastery. So I implore you, take up the challenge. Embark on the journey of learning to act as if you are emotionless. It won't be easy, but few things worth achieving ever are. And when the going gets tough, when the emotions threaten to overwhelm you, remember the wise words of the ancient Stoic philosophers. It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about those things. In other words, it is not the external circumstances that dictate our emotional state, but rather our internal interpretation of those circumstances. And that, my friends, is something we can learn to control. So let us commit to this path together. Let us become masters of our emotions, rather than slaves to them. Let us learn to act as if we are emotionless, not because we are devoid of feeling, but because we have achieved a higher. That prohibits us to say things we don't mean in a state of anger. Fear might grip us, preventing us from taking risks that could lead to great rewards. Now, what if I told you there was a way to take control? To harness the power of acting as if you have no emotions at all? It sounds strange, I know. Emotions are what give our lives meaning. But hear me out. Think of a skilled surgeon in the middle of a complex procedure. Their patient's life depends on their steady hands and focused mind. Can this surgeon afford to be overcome by fear or anxiety? No. They need to operate as if they're emotionless, achieving a state where their actions are dictated by pure logic and skill. We all have moments in our lives that demand a similar level of clarity. Imagine the calm negotiator in a high-stakes business deal, not letting greed or panic cloud their judgment. Or a person in a troubled relationship, able to set aside hurt and anger to see the situation rationally and find a solution. This isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. That would be impossible and, frankly, not healthy. Instead, it's about learning to control our emotions in situations where they might sabotage our goals or lead us to make regrettable choices. So how do we do it? It starts with self-awareness. We have to understand what makes us tick emotionally, the situations or people that trigger big reactions. This allows us to anticipate our emotional responses and put up some mental safeguards. Next, we learn to mentally step back from our feelings. We observe them with a sense of detachment, like watching clouds float by. We still feel the emotion, but we don't let it take over. Most importantly, this is a skill that needs practice, just like an actor rehearses until their lines flow naturally. We need to rehearse staying calm and detached under pressure. The more we do it, the easier it becomes. And believe me, there will be times it feels impossible. Emotions are powerful forces, but imagine the benefits. A life where you're the master of your emotions instead of a slave to them. Imagine walking into any situation, a negotiation, an argument, a big presentation, with an unwavering sense of focus and composure. That kind of power is within your reach. Let me be clear, this isn't about denying our humanity. It's about understanding just how much influence our emotions have over us and seizing a level of control that most people never dream of. We should celebrate our emotional depth, embrace joy and sadness. However, in those moments when feeling too deeply hinders us, there's freedom in knowing we can choose to act as if we were emotionless, achieving a laser-like focus that unlocks opportunities and helps us become the best version of ourselves. This journey isn't easy. It takes commitment and a willingness to face the messy, often uncomfortable parts of ourselves. But the rewards are truly life-changing. This emotional mastery you're developing has ripple effects in every area of your life. Think about your relationships. When you understand and regulate your own feelings, you become less reactive to the emotions of others. Imagine remaining calm even when your partner or a friend is upset. This creates space for true understanding, for problem solving without unnecessary drama. You become the rock for people you love, a source of support because you're not swept away by their emotional storm. Because you're not swept away by their emotional storm. This level of control is like a superpower in the workplace, too. A boss who's known for their even temper earns respect and cooperation. They can handle tense situations without flying off the handle, creating an environment where people feel safe and do their best work. As for you, well, when you aren't derailed by insecurities or petty squabbles, you focus on the things that actually propel your career forward. And speaking of focus, have you ever been gripped by fear before something important, like a presentation or an interview? Your mind might race, your palms might sweat. This is your body's way of preparing to face a threat. But when you've mastered the art of acting emotionless, you can turn off that fight or flight response. You approach these tasks calmly, and your clear mind allows you to give your best performance. Over time, this way of being transforms your sense of self. When you know you control your emotions instead of them controlling you, a deep confidence grows within you. You start to feel unshakable. Setbacks might sting, but they don't define you. You weather challenges with a resilience that others admire. Remember, this is a process. Some days will be easier than others. But like the Stoic philosophers centuries ago taught us, it's not what happens to us that causes our pain, it's the way we react to it. Therein lies our power. We might not control life circumstances, but we can control our response. This is true freedom. So I urge you, embrace this journey. Explore your emotional triggers. Practice detaching from your feelings. Seek out resources and wisdom about how to achieve a greater understanding of your inner world. It's a pursuit that will continue to nourish and enrich your life in countless ways. And when you find yourself in those messy moments of overwhelming emotions, just remember, you have the power to act as if you are emotionless, to center yourself, to rise above, and to walk through life with both clarity and heartfelt passion. Let's talk about how to actually put this power into practice. First, start paying close attention to your body's reactions. When you feel a strong surge of emotion, positive or negative, observe yourself closely. Is your heart rate? Do your muscles tense up? These physical cues can give you a heads up that a big emotional wave is coming and that it's time to employ your strategies. One helpful technique is mindful breathing, focusing on your breath. Counting inhale and exhale can help ground you in the present moment and slow down a runaway reaction. It's a subtle yet surprisingly powerful tool that you can use anywhere, anytime. Another key practice is journaling. Writing down your emotional experiences in an honest way helps you process them outside of work. I'd like to invite you to join a group of therapists who can offer personalized tools and advice for strengthening your emotional regulation. People are drawn to your calm energy, your ability to see clearly even in chaotic situations. You become a natural leader, a source of strength to those around you. And the most beautiful part, the journey never really ends. There are always new depths of self-understanding to reach, new ways to refine your emotional awareness. This is what makes life such a rich adventure. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every triumph provides an opportunity to learn and grow. Armed with the power of acting emotionless, you can face every experience with confidence, knowing that no matter what life throws your way, you have the tools within you to overcome, adapt, and thrive. Remember, even the most stoic monks and the most seasoned CEOs experience moments where their emotions get the best of them. The difference lies in how they handle those moments. They don't see a flip-up as a failure, but rather as feedback. This is the key to long-term success. Be patient with yourself. Old habits are hard to break, and emotional patterns often run deep. If you find yourself reacting in a way you wish you hadn't, don't despair. Instead, practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that you're human. Your learning and setbacks are part of the process. Use that moment as motivation to recommit to your practice and try a different approach next time. And let's talk about those different approaches. Experiment. What works to soothe your anger might not be the same thing that helps calm another person. You might find that physical activity helps release pent-up frustration, or that listening to calming music helps your mind slow down. Pay attention to what works for you and create your own personalized toolkit for emotional regulation. As you progress, don't be afraid to challenge yourself in new ways. Perhaps you've always shied away from conflict, letting anger simmer until it boils over. With your newfound skills, try addressing issues directly, but without the usual heat of the moment. Or maybe you're easily swept away by excitement, making impulsive decisions you later regret. Practice pausing and carefully considering the long-term consequences before jumping in impulsive actions. Find a community, online or in person. It doesn't really matter. But find yourself a fellow explorer on this path of emotional mastery. Share your victories, your setbacks, and the wisdom you've gleaned along the way. Knowing others who are on similar journeys can offer invaluable support and encouragement. Emily, don't lose sight of the ultimate goal, living a life of both deep feeling and profound composure. These qualities aren't mutually exclusive, but rather complementary. The ability to act emotionless when it serves you grants. You have freedom to experience your emotions fully when you choose to. Imagine a life where you face any situation with a clear mind, navigate relationships with wisdom and empathy, and savor both the highs and lows with a resilient heart. This is the power that awaits you, a power that will continue to transform you in the most beautiful of ways. Throughout history, those who've mastered their emotions are often the ones who change the world. Think of great leaders like Nelson Mandela, who endured unimaginable hardship without succumbing to hatred or bitterness. Imagine the focus of scientists like Marie Curie, meticulously pursuing their work in the face of countless setbacks. Your own journey won't necessarily make headlines, but it has the power to transform your corner of the world in profound ways. The ripple effects of this inner work start within your closest circles. As your self-awareness deepens, so does your capacity to understand the emotions of others. Think of how this can improve your relationship with a difficult parent or a sensitive child. You become better at putting yourself in their shoes, seeing their triggers and vulnerabilities, leading to more compassion and less conflict. Even seemingly casual interactions change. The stressed-out cashier, the impatient coworker, instead of reacting with your own irritation, you're able to meet them with kindness. This doesn't mean you'll never get annoyed, but with practice, you'll be less likely to escalate a situation unnecessarily. It might seem small, but this kind of emotional generosity creates a more peaceful environment for everyone. As you grow in emotional maturity, you'll inspire others to do the same. People are drawn to those who possess a quiet strength and a sense of composure. Perhaps a friend struggling with anxiety sees how you manage your own worries and feels empowered to start their own journey. Or a younger sibling witnesses your ability to handle disappointment with grace, and they begin to adopt that same resilience. You won't always get it right. There will be moments when frustration bubbles up, when sadness feels overwhelming, when joy spins out of control. But remember, the mere awareness that you have a choice is a powerful step in itself. It opens the door to change. This path to emotional mastery is a lifelong undertaking. It's a journey of falling down and getting back up, of discovering your inner strength, and of continually redefining what it means to be truly in control of your life. Embrace the challenge, celebrate the victories, and never lose sight of the incredible person you're becoming. The world needs more people who understand their emotions and choose to use them wisely. Start right now and let your journey be a source of life and inspiration. Remember, the ability to act emotionless isn't just a clever trick or a tool for personal gain. It's about becoming a force for good. When we aren't controlled by fear, anger, or impulsiveness, we can make clear-headed decisions that serve not just ourselves, but those around us. We become better friends, partners, parents, and global citizens. So I challenge you, delve into this transformative practice. Study yourself, seek out tools, and find a community that supports your journey. It won't be easy, and it might feel strange at first. But I promise you, the rewards are immeasurable. Imagine waking up each morning armed with a deep, unshakable knowledge that you can face whatever the day holds, both its challenges and its joys, with a steady heart and a focused mind. Imagine the lives you'll touch and the inspiration you'll spark simply by becoming the most emotionally grounded version of yourself. This is the power of acting as if you were emotionless. This is the path to a life lived with intention, a life of clarity, resilience, and unwavering purpose. It's a power that resides within each and every one of us. All it takes is the courage to begin.